Hi there, my name's Kirsten Jones and I'm an artist living and working in Henley on Thames. In this video I'm going to show you a quick tour of my studio as it stands and a few of the pieces that I have available at the moment, so come through. So this week and should have been the Henley Arts Trail and Oxfordshire Artweeks, the start of Oxfordshire Artweeks. So normally we'd have had people coming in, having coffee and champagne and just talking about the artwork. So I'm going to do a really quick look through what you might have seen if you were coming through the door. So here we have my new card collection. I've just created them and spent many days on the sofa wrapping them, which is long but quite relaxing actually, quite therapeutic. Usually I take a small section of a piece and make it into a card just so that you get to see some of the detail of the text in the background, and occasionally I'll do the full image because it's actually quite nice. Some of them really work as full images. And they come in two shapes. So A5, which is the rectangular ones, and square format, which are usually sections. And on the back there's information. I usually put an image of the full piece so that you can see what it looks like, and then a bit of stuff about me. And they're all £2.50. So hopefully that gives you a collection. This represents so many hours of work sitting there wrapping them. But anyway, so over here is my sold area. This is my to-do list really, where I've got to deliver them locally, or sometimes people collect them from outside the studio. Also, I do have a delivery driver called John who is already on Essential Journeys, and he will just pick up something and take it to wherever he happens to be going. I've sort of got them ready. Sometimes they need wrapping, and they always go with a little envelope, and the certificate's all on the back. Some of them need framing, so I'm going to have to organise that. So moving back, framed hats, which we saw recently. This is the new piece of mine, which has got talking about the Henley experience of going to the Royal Regatta and so on, which we'll not be doing this year, but maybe the artwork brings back happy memories. Over here I've got a framed Henley flowers, which has got the text in the background, and the full image of French flower garden, which is really lovely to see. I don't always have that one in stock, but it's lovely to see it. I remember painting that and all the drips dripping down the wall from the paint. So this is the first of my flower garden series, and I'm actually in the middle of doing a few more of those as well at the moment. This is a little mini painting. So sometimes when I do the big pieces, I do small versions which are me getting my head around where I'm going to go. So I'll make a little mini sketch and do some collage just so that I work out. This one's on gesso, and sometimes I frame those up with glass as well. Other times I'll just leave them just as they are. I don't know whether you can see that one, but that's inspired by a long sailing trip. It's called Sardines, 57 varieties, and this is one that I don't always have in stock either, so it's lovely to have it around actually. It does remind me of travelling to different places, which is really important at the moment. You know, we're all inside and hey-ho. So a little corner, I've got some pieces framed. I've got some lovely work. I just want to show this, beautiful by Adele, gorgeous, love that, makes me happy. Original. This is a print from an original, and my little red herring in the corner there, which makes me smile. The butterfly piece, which is part of a series. And as it's Oxfordshire Artweeks, this one is an original of a painting of Blenheim Palace, which I'm also doing as prints, but really love this. The view across the land, across the green, and the clouds are all the local towns. This is the original of Blues Collection, which was inspired by music. And I've kind of kept that one because I just love it on that wall as it is. But the prints are the same size or smaller. And then moving over here really quickly, because we're going to the light bit, is Golden Lemons #1, which is one of my faves, inspired by lemons brought back from Paris, and with all the recipes in the background. My collection, my ever expanding collection of teacups. So I'm going to do a video about my collection. Gosh, do I want to share that? I'll try. So a lot of them, and they all crop up in various different pieces, and also my shoes as well. I thought I might do a piece inspired by shoes, talking about how I'm inspired by different types of shoes and the stories. Each one has an individual story about a particular piece. This one's called Flirty shoes, inspired a bit by Henley, and the text in the background, you can't really see it, but we'll talk about it in depth in the video later. And the one at the top, this is Perfect shoes. This is the very first one I ever made, and they didn't really fit me, which, you know, for people who love shoes, sometimes there are more important things that comfort. It's more about the way the shoes look. So come through into the light. Alex is doing a great job because it's so hard videoing there. My studio's at home, so obviously we're dealing with a bit of kitchen facilities as well as the art, but there we are, that's the way life is. So original of rhubarb there with the music score in the background. This is actually rhubarb that I grew myself, super proud of that, and just love the way rhubarb is so optimistic at the moment in the garden. Absolutely, you know, can't get enough of it really. This is one little lovebird as well. This is something that I make myself out of vintage fabrics, and I find and recycle vintage fabrics, and then have beautiful days with lavender, sewing these and sometimes I put little words on the back. People order them and they say, can you write this on the back, and I hand print it. This is one that I did for myself with their string legs, and so yeah, don't quite know where they came from, but I don't know, when I get going I can make sort of 20 in a day, and the whole house smells of lavender, which is really lovely. So I'll pop him back. A little framed print of Henley. Can I just get my tea? And Rosehips. So this one is, these Rosehips are really relevant because I found these in a hedgerow, and they were just so stunning. It was a wet day, a bit like yesterday was when it was raining, and they were sparkling. I just can't explain it. It was so beautiful, and I thought, gosh, you know, they're not going to survive for very long, so I'll immortalise them, and brought them back and painted them, and I used gold pencil. So each print I hand draw on each limited edition to accentuate all the detailing and the way that the sparkle was coming out of the hedgerow and the long, elegant stem. Really, really like that piece. Okay, moving through. So a little rack here. This is all my wrap prints. This is what a wrapped print looks like, ready to frame, with the certificate of authenticity on the back. So when I say wrapped or rolled, that's what they would look like. This is a framed version of the wrap piece, so you can see the edge there. That's a new Sardines piece called Sardines, 3 Sardines number 2, that one's called. And over this way, so one of my early pieces here, this is red mullet with the plate, me and my plate. So a vintage plate. This reminds me of my nana, actually, the rosebud plate. Beautiful. Everybody's got one, or they know what I'm saying, because they're just so pretty. And the idea of having your best cabinet of crockery was always something that really appealed to me. So yes, so moving on to different types of work here. I've got a little view. I still love my views, a little view of St Ives. This is the area where I sometimes sit when I'm working out what I'm going to be doing for the day. It's got a lovely view of the garden, and so I've just been planning what I'm going to do with my next commission and doing something with butterflies. And this, who is gorgeous. Anyway, so through into the studio, and this is view of Temple Island, which we've seen before, and the little piece strawberries with the background of my table outside. Swirls are to do with the actual metalwork on the various bits of cast iron that I've got in my back garden. Moving on to Sweet Shop, which is the collection, the full collection, a smaller print. This is a very large piece originally. It comes in lots of different sizes, including one that's 82 centimetres wide. And so it's all of the idea of us all being contained at the moment in our various little places with all the love and fabulous things that are happening in everybody's little world. So I think it's sort of quite relevant at the moment. And this is what a mounted print looks like. So this is called a window mount. So I'm going to do another video about how my work is presented and whether it's mounted or wrapped or framed and all that sort of thing. Tall, thin. So the idea, those walls that we all have in our houses, in between windows, on the landing, next to the loo, this was kind of created because of that. It was inspired by a fabulous cafe where the crockery, again, you see what I mean? The crockery didn't match, and I borrowed it for the night. Unusual, took it back to my hotel room and did loads of sketches, which was the starting point for the painting. And I did a series of 2 paintings, and then actually the hotel owner recognised one of the cups, this one, and she said, "That's my cup." I said, "No, it's not." And Jane, if you're watching, you'll remember this. I said, "No, it's not. It's from the cafe down the road." She said, "Yes, because I gave it to the cafe down the road." And she said, "Oh, well, I need to buy the originals then." So I bought the originals. And I just love that story. I don't know. And this is the one that fits on those strange walls. And the collage in the background is all based on where the cups might have come from, the story of their journey, and also things like coffee, where coffee comes from. So there's reference to pagodas and different cultural patterns in the background, and a bird. I love to have the birds in there. So over to the wall here. So normally we'd have a wall that was a little bit more sort of professionally presented, but here is a sort of collection of just sort of where a few of my pieces I'm at the moment. So framed version of Sardines, one of my popular ones, which was again on one of my favourite plates with the sparkly fish, and these were Spanish sardines and painted on a boat, in fact. But again, these are hand detailed with gold pencil when the prints are bought. This is the new original called Spring Flower Garden, which is inspired by that out there, and in the background I've got text to do with spring and a collage detailing of vintage postcards, which are they're so old they're almost untranslatable, and I love the idea of there being secrets, like the buds are secrets and then they open up with the flowers. And so I'm going to go into this in more detail in another video because the gardens are a big thing for me. I don't know whether you can go up the top, but swimming costume, bit of a distant memory at the moment, but hopefully we'll get there at one point. I put him up there just to kind of think, yes, one day. And cups of tea and coffee up at the top as well. So strawberry mug is up there. And then I've just got a couple of my originals. These are the originals. This is how they stay really until they're, so you can see the original size is often quite big, and I wrap everything. It's a nightmare for videoing, sorry about that, Alex, but the reflections, but I do protect them in the cello just until they're either bought and people choose their frame, or I exhibit them in one of my galleries. So I'll then frame them up and then send them down to my gallery. So, and talking about frames, if anyone does order a piece on my website, there is a choice of a frame. So I use 2 really, light oak and white frame, and both look really lovely. It just depends on what your house is like. Sort of walls and so on. Sometimes you want a bit of definition with the wood, and other times you want it to be disappearing into the background with the white frames, and I'll talk about that another time with another video. But hopefully that's given you a bit of a tour of some of my work and that you've enjoyed having a look in my studio. Everything that I've shown today is on the website, so you're very welcome to have a look and have a browse. If you'd like to see more of my videos that I've been talking about, please do subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And thank you very much for looking. It's been great.